What's going on, guys? PhantasmMask here, and it has been a very long time since I've done one of these segments. In fact, this is the second Story Time with PhantasmMask episode, and if you even remember at all, I did one of these when the channel first opened up with Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and, well, I thought I was way overdue to do a Story Time segment, so if I remember, the last story time dealt with what I do in retail. I work a retail job. My job has since changed since that last story time with PhantasmMask, but this is one that this is a story that I just could not pass up at all. It makes me too angry to just let it go. Now, for those of you who may subscribe to me and work in retail, you know sometimes you can have customers and the sort that are just agitated. They don't want to have anything to do with you. All you're trying to do is help, and no matter what you do, no matter how helpful you are, they can just be assholes. Sorry to say, you know, customer always comes first, but sometimes you guys are assholes. This story actually does not have to deal with, say, an angry customer, more of a neglectful one. So I had just clocked in maybe about 20 minutes into my shift. This event happened, and during my shift, at the very beginning, I have a set of things that I have to get. Well, I have to set up some things and refill some things as so that way customers can purchase them in case they're out. Well, there was a woman, she had 2 children with her. I would say she had a girl about 7 or 8 years old and a boy maybe about 3 or 4 sitting inside the cart. Not like inside the basket, but inside the seating area for the cart, where you're supposed to sit your kids. And if you are one of those parents that put your kids in the basket, you are an awful parent. But moving on, side tangent. I was filling up the stuff, and I had noticed her earlier with these kids, and the 7 or 8 year old, as I said, was outside of the cart while the 3 or 4 year old boy was inside the cart. And as I was filling it up, I hear this, probably one of the loudest crashes I have ever heard in my store. I've never heard anything this loud before at all. And it was immediately followed up by probably some of the loudest screaming I have ever heard from a child. This child was screaming its lungs out for help, and, you know, it was pretty bad. In fact, I have very sensitive hearing, and it was really bad. But I went over to go investigate, and the woman was holding that 3 or 4 year old, and I swear to Jeebus, this kid's leg is fucking broke. It had to have been. There is no possible way that this kid's leg was not broke. And he is bawling his eyes out. The woman is holding this child. I ran up to her, and I'm like, "Is everything okay? Do I need to call medical services? Is everything okay?" And she says that they're gonna be fine. And she had made a mess because of the stuff that had fallen out of the cart, and I had to go clean that up, naturally. But it's as I was walking away that I remembered a few things about when this customer first came in the store. And that's the fact that right before this incident, I'm going way too far ahead. As I was walking away, I had overheard her telling the 8-year-old girl not to be pulling on the cart anymore. So from that, I can only come up with the conclusion that this girl was pulling on the cart so hard that it knocked it over, and, you know, this 4-year-old boy, you know, fell out of the cart. It wasn't until I reviewed the cameras later that I received an even bigger shock, and that was the fact that this woman had left her kids. She was maybe about 10 or 15 feet away from the kids, looking and facing the opposite direction, looking at the stuff that we have in our cooler and freezer section, and she just was not paying any attention for at least 2 minutes to these kids, and had let this happen. I guess that's the thing that really makes me mad, because initially I was mad at the girl, but and then I finally realized that it was more neglect on the parents' part, and I think that's the part that really, really gets me mad. You know, I don't really care if you're a customer that's an asshole to me, because I'm going to get over it, because I deal with it so many times a day. You're nothing special if you're a dick. But when you're a neglectful parent, and you let this happen to your children, I mean, what if this cart would have fallen over, and this boy's head would have busted open on the tile? I hope you feel guilty about not watching your kids if that were to happen. I really do. You deserve it. I don't know. It's a story that really, really irks me. It's not. It may sound like it's not really anything special, but it is, because something like this does not happen very often. That really gets me fired up like this. A neglectful parent doesn't even care, and this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the parents that bring their kids into my store. Sometimes they won't even attempt to see to the needs of their child. They just let them cry, and ignore them. They don't, something could be wrong with the child, and they just don't care. In fact, I've had several occasions where a child would be crying or something like that, and the parents would just, probably as loud as they possibly can, just yell, "Shut the fuck up," to the child. You know, they have no idea how to deal with these kids at all. And you know what? Some of you may comment on this saying, well, PhantasmMask, you don't have any kids, you don't know what it's like. And that's true, I don't have any kids, and I don't know what parenthood is fully like. But one thing I do know is that you don't look at your kid in the face and scream at them to shut the fuck up. Nor do I turn my back on them for more than a second. You should be watching your kid like a hawk, especially when you have two of them that young. When I was 7, 8 years old, I was a mischievous little brat, okay? I was a bit of an asshole. I know what I was like when I was 8. And I can't really remember what I was like when I was 4, so I can't really comment on that. But my parents, they were definitely watching me like a hawk to make sure that I didn't get into any trouble like that, or be pulling on a cart to knock over another person out of it, potentially giving them a concussion and or killing them. So that's just a story that really, really fired me up. Hopefully I can do more of these segments in the future. If any of you down in the comments below have any stories about working and dealing with people that are like this, leave a comment down below. And a long story, I don't care, I will read it. I like reading these kind of things, these quote-unquote horror stories of retail. If not, you don't want to leave a comment, why don't you just make a video about it? Make a video like what I'm making right now about your horror story in retail, even though this really isn't a horror story. It's more or less like, parent, what are you doing? Parent, watch your kids. So that concludes Story Time with PhantasmMask Part 2. Until next time, guys, PhantasmMask here, signing out.